All right, go play your yo-yo.
Yeah.
It's weird. It feels better now than it has in like months. So
that's
I don't
awesome.
know if I got it up on a shelf. I tried like 3 different times. It hurt so bad. It hurts so bad. I should have explained it more on the podcast, but like I was trying not to be too graphic. But dude, it hurts so bad. Like the first time I'm like bent over there and it's like ah.
You need the Facebook glasses so you can record yourself in the mirror next time.
Yeah, no shit. We're recording still right now on the computer, so maybe I'll add this in towards the end. Ah! All right, I guess we should probably start it here then.
Sounds good.
As much as I would love to include the rest of that stuff in it, I will abide and leave you out of it.
Thank you.
So you've sent me an interesting video today coming out of
Yes, sir.
What is this? The House, the Senate? I can't really tell.
So some hearing.
Dude, there's a creepy picture up in the upper left-hand corner of some white-haired guy with like a fluffy white poodle in his lap. And there's just something about like, it's like, what do you do to that dog? Why do you buy a fluffy? I don't know. It's just a little strange to me.
It's a little strange.
Anyways, here's the video.
As the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Mr.
I'm
Chairman,
sorry.
could you repeat your introduction again, please?
Yes, we have set the
Representative.
standard on the floor of the House, and I'm simply.
What is that standard, Mr. Chairman?
The
Would you
standard-
repeat what you just said when
I-
you introduced a duly elected representative from the United States of America? Please.
I will. The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order. Mr. Chairman, have you no decency? I
We
mean,
will- we will-
I've come to know you a little bit, but this is not decent.
We will continue this.
You
hearing.
will not continue it with me unless you introduce a duly elected representative the right way.
This hearing is adjourned.
I love that he's like white knighting for this woman.
And I didn't catch that McBride called the chairman Madam Chair.
I heard that too in the beginning. Like dude, I don't know. There's something fucking weird going on in this fucking world right now. People are out of their
Reminds me of that
goddamn minds.
socialist meeting. Point
Point
of
of
privilege.
privilege.
Do not misgender the duly elected Congress person.
We don't like hearing gendered language, and I have ADS, ALD. What's going on? It's time for another episode of Too Hard for the Radio, transmitting from the future-free state of Greater Idaho. I am the one-armed madman. Back with me today from Music City, America, we've got the great Daniel Steele. Dan,
What's up,
how
everybody?
are you doing?
Doing all right.
Getting
Doing
by?
better than some Congress people.
Yeah, Congress people. Is people? How do we ungendered people? I guess people is already non-gendered, but I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. I can't even steel man all these arguments anymore because they're getting so fucking crazy that like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's an X at the end of people's X.
back in like 2017, we would sit around and laugh about this.
Oh, I mean these people
Like just the
are fucking-
absurdity of it.
They're dorks.
And now it's gone into like duly elected people. What the? I don't get it.
I don't understand what was going on in that video now because I heard the Madam Chair thing the first time I watched it. And then this last time I'm watching it a second go around. It's like, wait a minute, there's no fucking madam. So
Yeah.
they're allowed to misgender him and he's not allowed to misgender that person. And like, I guess you're allowed to white knight you're allowed to be a Captain Save-A-Ho for a fuck. It's so strange. I guess he's like mansplaining for this man.
Or ho, apparently.
How are these people getting elected, Dan? I mean, it's fucking wild to me that like
Well,
they
from
look. These people
Delaware.
Is it
Have you-
Delaware?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can
yeah.
remember.
He's from Delaware. So in the U.S., when there's very few states that have a business court, and so a business court is just like separate from the other court. There's like a ton of case law and precedents. So when you do like a venture capital backed company, you generally have to open it in Delaware because investors know that if there is a lawsuit, there's case law. So like
Gotcha.
every debit card you get, every credit card you get, all that shit, almost every big corporation is incorporated in Delaware. So I've owned a ton of Delaware companies. Everybody that I know in tech has a Delaware company. I don't know anybody who's actually been to Delaware. I'm not certain that it's a real place.
Hey, listen here, Jack. I grew up in the great state of Delaware. You know what I'm talking about.
Did he carpet bag to get there, or was he actually from there?
I don't know. I think he's actually from there. I listened to a video the other day. I think it was an Ian Carroll video where he was just kind of talking about like BlackRock and all these corporations, and he was saying that like most corporations in America are based in Delaware. And I was like, why is that? So it's cool that you actually were like able to bring that up and clear up some questions here. Like, I guess it's just the scam state. You know, if you got a good scam that you want, it's amazing how many scams are being ran right now that like, I look at some of these guys and I'm like, how do you figure out that scam? I guess you have to like meet people and, you know, people who have already been scamming for years. I have to teach you because like, I don't have the business mind or the criminal mind to do some of these scam businesses that we're reading about.
Yeah, you just have to know somebody. Like
That's what I was thinking.
but also I think that everybody should pull their businesses out of Delaware, but not because of the government scams. That's just like where you incorporate. But here's why I think that, and a lot of people are. Like Tesla moved to Texas. A big company called Box, they're similar to Dropbox, just moved to Nevada. And the reason for that is so a judge who worked out of the same firm as Hunter or Joe, one of the Bidens, held fundraisers for Biden, all that, became a judge in the business court. And then Joe Biden sicked her on, or the government started going after Elon. Like they went after him, like the fish and wildlife, about how many ducks he killed with his rockets, like every possible way that they could attack him, they attacked him. And so Elon, let's call it 2016, 2017, quite a while ago, he said, if I don't, like it was like 10x the value of Tesla in the next 5 years, I'll take nothing. But if I do, I get voting control of the company. Everybody's like, shareholders voted. Fuck yeah, this is great. There's no way you can do that. But if you do that, we all make so much money. So Elon does it. And then through this lawfare, somebody bought one share of Tesla, one share for a couple $100, sued in Delaware court. And this judge said, Elon, you don't get the incentive package that a majority of shareholders voted on. And so now they have activist judges, which has like the whole reason to do fucking business in Delaware is because it's supposed to be predictable. And now there's lawfare going on there. So I started my new business in Nevada. Hopefully I'll be able to keep it there.
Delaware, when you can't afford to move to the Caribbean. That'd be a great campaign, like a movement. Hey, you want to get rich doing shady shit and you can't afford a nice beachfront property in Puerto Rico? Well, hey, we've got Delaware. And if you donate to the right super PACs and you get a hold of the right people, you might just meet yourself the big guy.
Well, so Puerto Rico's interesting too, just to get tangential. As a U.S. citizen, if you make a bunch of money and you owe taxes on it, you can move to Puerto Rico as long as you spend 6 months plus 1 day in Puerto Rico every year. And after 5 years, you can and you pay like a 5% flat tax on everything. Instead of like, if you make millions of dollars, you're paying 40, 50%. You move to Puerto Rico, stay at a Ritz-Carlton, and you spend 6 months and 1 day there. And then you get to live the other half of the year a free person, not on the trash island. And then after 5 years, you're allowed to bring that money back in the United States without paying taxes on it.
And then you also get to sit back there and shit talk Bitcoin for the last 10 years. Peter Schiff. I almost wonder if he is controlled opposition for Bitcoin, where like he actually owns a bunch of it and he just does his fucking thing for some reason. I don't know. He's a wild one, Peter Schiff. Like it's so funny that like he's so into it, like he's so right about everything. And like I could be wrong about Bitcoin. Like I'm a believer. So I'm kind of biased on this, but he's like he's right about everything and then just on his own island when it comes to Bitcoin. And it makes me wonder, how is he right? Is he wrong? It's we're not really going to know. I think at this point, like he's kind of been proven wrong. We've, hit $100,000 in the last couple. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know anything about what you're talking about with Peter Schiff,
Oh, well,
but I can say that Bitcoin crashed down to $82,000.
yeah. I'm not worried about
Imagine how sad people would have been 2 years ago with
I know.
$82,000 Bitcoin.
I know. I was talking to my buddy about this yesterday. Like I wasn't paying attention to the price yesterday. I'm hurt still. And like he sent me a text. He's like, "Holy shit, it's fucking bleeding." And it was down to 70 something. And like I didn't even blink and I was like, "Yeah, whatever." My thought is like we've got a lot of new investors in the past couple months and you need a good correction to shake out the weak hands.
Well, that and people just rugged.
Yeah.
Like they're holding, waiting. So what I dislike about crypto in general is how tied it is to the stock market. It was supposed to be this promise of this independent monetary system, blah, 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 blah. And in reality, the stock market goes down, Bitcoin goes down. Stock market goes up, Bitcoin goes up. And it's, well, I did some consulting in like 2018, made a lot of money really fast doing it. But everybody, the people that were innovating in crypto were just trying to make interesting financial derivatives just like you would find on Wall Street, but using crypto. So it's just like Wall Street guys that couldn't make it as Wall Street guys doing fucking weird shit to make crypto. And so I imagine that it's still very tied to normal financial.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you could unpair the two.
No, I completely agree with you. Like, I don't think that it's a short-term hedge against inflation. I think it's a long-term hedge, but in the short run, it seems to kind of do what everything else is doing. It wasn't just Bitcoin that crashed yesterday. Everything was down pretty much.
Yeah.
And so,
it's up gold. Gold was up 8%.
well, that's not bad.
8% year to date.
Yeah,
Gold
I was
actually
looking at gold
wasn't doing
yesterday
that
too.
well.
I own some gold, so I'm happy about it. And
Yeah.
it's an interesting market time, right? Like I was saying for a long time that the plan is to let Trump win and destroy the country around him, to teach the populist voting bloc of America a lesson for allowing an outsider to have, the levers of power. And I think that is the plan still. I think that they were just kind of caught on their back foot with Trump coming in hard. Like, I don't really think that they expected him to come in like a bull, just a wrecking ball like he's been doing. And I think they are having to like retool and figure out some shit. And they're gonna strike, they're not gonna just let him, like, egg prices are back up again, which is really just spiking the football for him.
That's not true.
Oh, really?
Egg prices are lower than when he came into office.
Yeah, but
inflation
up in like the last couple days. I think it's up 6%.
I think it's regional. I think that like those supply chains fluctuate, but like the national average of egg prices is down right today. It's some propaganda I saw.
Yeah, it's
the representative from Delaware, Mr.
What the hell just happened?
Oh.
Sorry, my
Mr. McBride?
my iPad started playing there for a second. Yeah, no, I don't know. I saw it on Twitter last night. They were just showing a graph, and it was like a 6% bump. And it, there's lies, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics. So who really knows exactly what's going on with the price of eggs? But my point was just kind of that, like, even if it's a little bit of a down, even if the price just goes down a little bit, 5%, 6%, like it was saying, let's say that's true. They were screaming about eggs a couple days ago, and what are they going to do? Like, it doesn't take forever to replace a flock of chickens. Like, it'll take a couple months, and this has been a long baked in problem for the last few months when Biden killed all these chickens, but they're going to grow. Like chickens grow up fast and they start producing eggs again quickly. So it's going to come down. It's just a matter of time. Yeah. We just got to stop killing healthy chickens.
Yeah. It seems like, I agree. It seems like they did everything they could to set this up to be a failure, but they're caught on their back feet. Like, did you see the EPA had $20 billion? They called it throwing gold bars off the Titanic.
Yeah.
But they caught it. I don't know. Also, like when you look at, so our stock market is like needs crack almost in the moment, happening now, blah, blah, blah. That's not a way to build a financial foundation. You know, so yeah, S&P is down 2% this year. Dow's down. Well, I don't know. That was this morning. S&P is down 2% this year. Dow's down 5%. And like, if that kind of volatility kills you, you're in the wrong business. But China's working on like 1,000-year plan, and our markets are full of these like need it now, hit the headlines, pump, everything must always go up. And that's not a sustainable way to run a country either.
We're not even on a 4 or an 8-year plan for the most part because these people don't have plans. It's just, how do we get to the next scam? How do we, extract more money? There's no plan going on in Washington right now, like long term. You might get, like Trump has, what does he call it? The concept of a plan. Like he's not really, I don't think that he's got this like long bullet point list, like we're going to do this on this day, this on that day. Like I think he's just kind of reacting and doing what he thinks he needs to do when he's presented with the evidence or the facts.
You would think that he would, or I would have thought that he was acting on a plan or executing a plan, but then Doge exposes all of this waste and they sign a resolution to extend it till September.
Yep.
Which,
did they sign that? I didn't see it.
Yeah, that passed today.
Not good. Not good news.
One Democrat voted yes. Massey voted no. It passed. Two people didn't vote. It passed. What's concerning about that is Doge exposed all this waste, great. Canceling contracts, great. Except for that activist judge said, hey, USAID, you need to make these $2 billion in payments because Congress approved it. Now Congress just approved all that money again. All the same fucking money just got approved. Nothing changed. We're just extending the fucking government spending the way that Biden ramped it up in the last 18 months. And now activist judges can be like, Congress approved it. Supreme Court says you have to pay this. We don't there's a chance that all of that money goes back out into circulation, at least short term, until they can find a remedy for these judges.
Dude, judges are so fucking disgusting. Like, they just are the worst, I've been on the bad end of some bad judges before, and they're just, a lot of the time, they don't even pretend to be impartial, Like, I saw a recent story where this cop fucking shot some guy in the back, running away from him, no weapons, nothing like that. And this fucking cop just walks away scot-free. And then you see literal pictures of the cop and the judge at a barbecue together. And it's just like, how the fuck can you run a country when you've got corrupt, evil, disgusting fucking people like that? And then we give them, like, I'm not fired up about Trump's, death penalty. He seems to be very into corporal punishment this time around. And like, that's a creepy thing to me because, like, look at these judges. You cannot allow these people to have corporal punishment because when you get into shit and you've got a disgusting, evil judge that's on the take, you're not going to be able to get out of it. And like, I don't care if you think that it's a good idea to take this one child molester out or this pedo. Like, I agree, these people need to die, but shoot them before the cops show up. Don't let the judges we got to get these people off of the levers of power. There's too much power for these guys.
And Trump's talking about the death penalty for drug dealers.
Yeah, which is crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. What do you think about him labeling the cartels terrorist organizations? I've been meaning to ask you what your thoughts are on this for weeks. I'm kind of creeped out by it. Oh, speaking of which, we got a road pirate right outside my house gunning people. Fucking prick.
I would say that if we had a good record with dealing with terrorist organizations, I might be okay with it. But our record with terrorist organizations is we fund them, and then we turn them into terrorist organizations, and then we blow them up, and then we leave their country in shambles.
And then pay them.
And then pay them.
And then pay them for all kinds of stuff. For Sesame Street, anything. You know, we just lost a fucking ridiculously stupid war to you guys. We ran away with our tails between our legs, and now we're giving you money for Sesame Street and gender studies. It's fucking crazy. Like, and I don't know that, I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know that I would even call Afghanistan a war. I think it was more of like a violent, you know, what's the word I'm thinking of? Now I can't think of it, but it was a violent occupation, I would call it. More because it wasn't really a war. Like, those people don't have an army. Like, it was a violent occupation that lasted way too fucking long. We got kicked out with our tail between our legs, and now we're sending you. We gave you all of our fucking military equipment, and we're sending you.
It was Iraq that got the Sesame Street.
Was it
Just
Iraq?
so we're clear on the record. Yeah.
I kind of thought it was, but I went with it anyways.
But
Afghanistan was getting money too, though.
Oh yeah,
I know they were getting money for the poppy fields. They're getting money for all kinds of shit.
Now, you have to come to the realization that some shit's just never going to change. I think we talked about this. Like, the military-industrial complex is going to run our country.
Yeah.
So let's use it for something that actually nets us something. Let's go fucking invade Toronto.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Oh, you want to threaten shutting off power here, fucking Ford?
Yes.
You're going to pour out our Jack Daniels, bitch? I'm going to waterboard you with it.
Dude, I didn't realize that like 80% of Canadians live like right over the border in the New York area, like right over by the lakes. Like, the rest of it's just fucking empty.
Oh, yeah. If you look at it just along the borderline, so you have like North New York, like Montreal and all that shit. And then Michigan, you have Ontario touches Buffalo, New York, and then Michigan. So like those are big economies. And then you go west, like Vancouver is basically Washington. They take boats back and forth and shit.
I've been to Vancouver before. It's a beautiful city.
My best friend lives on Vancouver Island. And so I've been drunk in their airport before, but all I've really spent time on was Vancouver Island. It's when you get out of the city, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But this was when I turned 40, so 6 years ago in June. It was $2 for a can of beer at the store, not at a bar. I can't imagine how much it is now.
It's gotta be out of control.
That's when I was paying $20 for a 30-pack of Bud Light. And it was $2 a beer. So it was like $48 for a 24-pack of Molson.
Yeah.
That shit, it was really expensive to be there.
So we went on a cruise from, I don't know if I've told you about this before, but we went on a cruise to Alaska from Vancouver, left in Vancouver. So we flew into Vancouver, and then we just took a bus from the airport to the shipyard. But you kind of had to drive, through town, and it was just beautiful. I remember like these just massive yards with big fucking hedges surrounding everything, just super green, like just incredibly green. And Alaska's something. I don't know if have you ever been to Alaska before?
No, I've always wanted to go,
You
but
should
it's
do
like
it. Like, I'm not a cruise person. I have no interest in going on a cruise to Mexico or to the Caribbean. Like, I don't want to be in one of these party ships with all these fucking idiots two-stepping, and like, I'm not into that at all. The cruise to Alaska is a whole different deal. Like, it's older people. It's not like crazy partying. It's not disgusting. Like, it was a nice ship that we were on, and dude, it's just gorgeous. Like, the terrain, like we went fishing a bunch of times. We went to Denali Park for a week. So we took a train like, I don't know how far it was. It was hundreds of miles though on this train, and you're just going through the wilderness. And we show up to Denali Park, and I was sleeping in the bus. Like, you take a bus, from the train station to the resort that we're staying at, and you kind of pull up right next to the cabins or the hotel type thing. So there's this big, structure right in front of you, and then off to the side there's this mountain. You're like, holy fucking shit, this is something. And then you walk inside, and you walk to the back patio, and you see Denali that was shaded, that was covered up by the.
It's not Denali, you racist.
Oh, it's back to McKinley again. Sorry. Excuse me. But you then you walk through and see it, and it's something. Like, I've seen Mount Hood, I've seen St. Helens, I've seen the big Mount Lassen. I've been to all the big mountains around here, and it's just uncomparable. You can't compare it at all. And we got lucky the first day we were there. Denali's McKinley is so big that it creates its own weather. So most of the time, like 90% of the time, it's clouded in and you can't see the whole mountain. So we showed up the first day, and it was like 90 degrees. We took a picture. I'm sure my dad still has it, but we took a picture of Denali, and there was this thermometer on the deck that was in the sun where it shouldn't be. And you could get the thermometer and the mountain in the same shot, and the thermometer was buried at 125 degrees.
Oh, wow.
And then you're looking at the mountain at the same time.
You went the summer.
Yeah, we went in the summer.
How long was it light? How many hours a day?
The further north you get, it never gets completely dark in July. So we went like in late June, early July, and it never gets completely dark. And once you get like at McKinley, you're up pretty far north, and we played golf at midnight. We did this, like, we rented ATVs and went and played golf, and we teed off at midnight. It was really cool. It was tough to get used to it. But once you kind of got used to it and figured out the curtains, and they were really good about like having blackout curtains everywhere and making it really easy to like black out the hotel rooms and stuff like that. I had a blast. Like, we went a week after I got back from Cancun, after I graduated high school. So I wasn't really fired up about going. I was just like, yeah, well, it's a free trip. My grandfather, paid for a bunch of us to go. And I ended up having, more fun on the Alaska trip than I did on the Cancun trip by a long shot,
When I went to last time I was on Vancouver Island, it was mid-June, and they were having climate change fires. So it was just ash in the sky. You never saw the sun really. So the sun would come up at like, I don't know, 4:35 in the morning.
Yeah.
And it would set around 11.
And it does
11:30.
like it loops. It doesn't go up and over. It's weird.
Yeah. But it just, since the climate change fires had everything cloudy, it just felt like the same time of day all day. So I would wake up at 5 in the morning and be like, oh, it's noon. And it really fucked with my sleep. But honestly, this fucking time change this time has been fucking with my sleep.
Dude, the light right now it's weird. I was like in here, I'm like, is my lighting off or something? It's because of the change. Yeah. It's wild. I had something good there, and then I lost it when we got into the light. Yeah, my sleep pattern's been all jacked up. I'm in bad shape right now, Dan. It's not been good. Should we play that video that you wanted from Friedberg about economics?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, here we go.
Some portion of this I hear, and when I asked in these 4 group chats, I got, he's throwing stuff at the wall, the border, he's trolling, the 10-year note, and he doesn't care about stocks. And then I got onshoring and manufacturing as a possibility. We're going to make it more expensive to bring things in, so why don't you consider making stuff here? Do you think that third possibility is what's going on here? Does David Friedberg pick one of these 3 choices or another? What's going on here with tariffs specifically?
I don't sit inside of Trump's head, and I don't have any direct line of communication to folks that are constructing the theory and the policy. If I were to say, what's the most masterful plan in an optimistic way of what could be going on here? What's the master plan? I would kind of craft it as follows. Tariffs aren't being done in isolation. They're being done along with a coordinated policy effort to reduce income taxes and another policy effort to reduce government spending. So those are 3 actions, 3 legs on a stool. So tariffs.
Real quickly, I'd like to pause this and I don't like that he's using tariffs as a negotiation tool for the border. I want to see the tariffs no matter what. Put the tariffs in. Like, use something else to negotiate the border. I want to see how this works. And he keeps doing this where he'll announce tariffs and then the president of Mexico or Canada or Governor Trudeau, whatever, they'll call up and he'll strike a deal and then the tariffs get pulled back. I don't want to see that. I'm not as like crazy about the border as a lot of these right wingers are. And I think that at this point, they've pretty much got it under control. I would like to see Canada spend some money to make sure that it stays that way and not necessarily us spending any more money on these borders. But I would like to see these tariffs work or fail.
Here's my objection to the tariffs. So what's being the people are floating the idea that income tax will go away and we'll go to this consumption-based tariff thing, but we have to do the tariffs first. When Trump put tariffs on in his first term, he didn't lower, I guess some taxes went lower. It was the biggest tax cut ever, blah, blah, blah. But income tax didn't go away. Biden kept those taxes, the tariffs, and was raising taxes. So imagine a world where we put on these tariffs. Manufacturing doesn't happen overnight. So we won't even see, we'll see construction jobs if we can get the resources we need into the country to build the fucking factories.
And get the regulations knocked down so they can actually do it.
I'm not worried about that. I think they can,
okay.
Yeah. The head of the EPA is just like, no, we're just going to burn this bitch to the ground, basically. Fine.
Good.
But I don't see a factory coming up in less than 2 years because Elon's not building them. More likely 5 or 6 years. So now we run this risk of we impose these heavy tariffs. They don't abolish the IRS, which I think you would need, or they don't end the income tax, which I think you would need. I forget what it takes to change the Constitution, but it's a lot. So they don't get that done. They don't change. Now we have high tariffs and the possibility of Gavin Newsom or whoever they put up there coming in 2028. They raise our income taxes up to 40-50% along with the tariffs. And so, I mean, I think it's cool that that's an option, but I just don't see that working because we go in these short cycles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they can get enough done in 4 years to really see if the tariff works or not. Because you put the high tariffs on, shit gets more expensive. It's not getting built here. People are pissed off. They go to the commies and they say, and the commies are like, oh, we'll just give you everything for free. And they don't. They just steal your shit. But then now we have high tariffs and high taxes. That's my fear.
And I think that that's why it's very important that Trump picks his successor very early and make sure that they're on the same page. Because like you said, this is going to be, fruit of labor that you'll never see. It's like cathedral builders, they're not going to see the end of this. And Trump's not going to see, like you said, if these do work in the way that people hope they are, he's not going to see it in his time. And I think it's really important.
What's interesting about successor talk is they could run a Vance Trump ticket in 2028.
Oh, I never thought about that. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Because you can only ever be elected twice. You can be the vice president, and you can become president if the president dies as the vice president. So they could run a Vance Trump or a Tucker Trump.
I don't think they'll do that, but I don't think Tucker has any interest in running.
No, he doesn't. But I was trying to manifest destiny.
Yeah, that'd be great. It would be something. Tucker's the man. All right, let's continue.
Stool. So tariffs, reduced income taxes, reduced government spending. And they are related to each other. They're related to each other because if we increase tariffs, one element of that is that to import products is more expensive. For example, I buy LED lights in my greenhouse, and the price of the LED lights just went up by 25%. This week, I actually spoke with the CEO of an LED company, and I was like, why don't you guys make the LEDs here? And there starts to become a crossover point where it actually makes economic sense for the company to make the LEDs here instead of sourcing them from Asia. And there's 100,000 examples of this. When the industrial supply chain goes to the lowest part of production, it's going to end up offshoring when there's no tariffs. And if there are tariffs, then you start to do production here. So you're increasing both kind of security for the US supply chain, but also increasing demand and creation of a workforce. Now, I think that the income tax piece is critical here because in order to make the capital available to build that industry here, we need to unleash capital, and reducing of income taxes, the economic theory would be that capital will now flow into these entrepreneurial activity, these opportunities that have emerged, where suddenly it makes sense for me to make textiles, to make metals, to make materials, to make cars, to make all this stuff here in the United States that I otherwise wouldn't be making. So both the corporate and the personal income tax, by reducing it, unleashes capital that instead of going into the government, it now goes into the private sector, into building businesses.
Okay.
So the problem I have when he says reducing income taxes, kind of like what you're saying, if you don't abolish the IRS, reduction is just a temporary thing. The next time you get a commie in there or a leftist in there, they're just going to hire everybody back that you fired, and you're going to be back to business as normal. And at this point, like, income taxes are a social control unit. They have nothing to do with generating revenue for the state. Like, our income taxes aren't even it's salt in the ocean compared to what we print and what we spend and what we borrow.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's continue.
I think that there's another theory about this, which is as you drop the income tax, one of the kind of key theories that I've heard spoken about a lot lately, and I think we're going to hear about it a lot more this year, is trying to get the United States to move away from an income taxation model to a consumption taxation model. So effectively, what the tariffs do is there's a tax for you buying certain things. So now, instead of getting taxed when you earn money as an individual, you get taxed when you spend money. And some people think that that's both a more fair system and a more kind of economically vibrant system, because that will drive investment in the things that people want to produce because the money's going into production.
Do you think that, Freeberg? I'm curious.
I don't know. It's a really interesting economic theory. I mean, I am not opposed to seeing some sort of an experiment play out where we look at a shift from income taxation to consumption taxation and see if it actually does have an effect on economic growth and productivity. It has not been done in 150 years. There's a lot of economic theorists on both sides of the equation saying this does work or it doesn't work.
Okay.
And let me just say one last thing. By reducing government spending, we are moving workers from the government into the private workforce. So as those new industries pop up, as those investments start to get made in building new industry onshore, where are the workers going to come from? Remember, the government's 30% of the US GDP today. So if that's not a great way to invest money, maybe the private industry is better at investing money and employing people. That will unleash the workforce, and it will counterbalance the inflation that we're experiencing. So there's a lot of inflation because of tariffs. And by reducing government spending, that's the offset to inflation. So those three actions, I think, are three legs of a stool, and they actually are all interrelated to one another. So that would be my grand master theory of what might be going on.
What's your thoughts on the consumption tax? I've never heard of a consumption tax until I listened to this. You know me, taxation is theft, so I don't think we should be paying taxes anywhere. But how would this change things for people?
Ron Paul advocated for this, I believe.
Did he?
A national sales tax. And again, it's the same. Okay, we get rid of income tax, we have national sales tax. They slip a little income tax in there. Oh, it's just 2 or 3%, and then they fucking jack it back up. I think that a consumption tax is fairer. You know, your tax code should be like 2 pages tops. The tax code definitely benefits the wealthy, and there's so many different ways to hide it. But if you had a consumption tax, you would just have people would have to pay whatever. If you bought a BMW or if you bought a Corolla, you're just paying the right amount for that, right? So I think I would prefer that, but I don't know. I was just I think you were expecting me to say something on the last pause, but I was looking this up.
I was filibustering, and then I couldn't tell what was really going on, so I tried to do my best to fill some time while you were figuring it out.
2/3 of a majority in both houses of Congress to change an amendment or add an amendment, or 38 out of the 50 states, state legislator. That shit's not happening. So everything that we're doing is going to just be, there's nothing that's going to be permanent or codified. out of any of this. We can go through these cuts. It's going to be painful either way. And then in 4 years or 8 years, unless this shit just works out swimmingly, which it is, I don't know. Like, there's so much pushback, and maybe that pushback kind of goes away when the actual money runs out, right? Because when you budget for a business, you budget for like 6 months to a year. So maybe all of those radical organizations have some money left, and they're just trying with everything they can for one last stand. And then when the money actually runs out, they're like, "Oh fuck, we got to go get jobs. We can't just be lighting Teslas on fire." So maybe, like CBS is laying off a lot of people. Like maybe it just changes to like more balanced and not so radical, and then this stuff has a chance of lasting. But also, like, Trump's not really. I mean, there's a lot of shit that's changing for the good, but like, there's still all this money going to Israel. There's no Epstein file, no JFK files. Massey got shit on because he stood up to this continued resolution. Like, you have to be all or nothing, and I don't think anybody wants to be all or nothing, except for like 10% on each side. That's how it goes. God, I'm turning into a nihilist as we speak.
It's tough, right? You start looking at everything, it's like, oh my God. Like, but there is so much good going on around us, and we're breaking through the liberal messaging machine to where it's not nearly as effective as it was a couple of years ago. My thought, something I've been thinking about recently is, like you said, a lot of this stuff is going to take longer than 4 years. And what percentage of Republican voters do you think are truly in it to save the country and are in it for the long fight? And how much of that percentage do you think are just kind of like Trump loyalist cultists and are going to just kind of drop out when he's gone? Like, what do you think?
I think you made a really good point of him naming a successor early, but I don't think he will. I think that's a smart play. It really depends on what happens to the working class. So right now, Trump's like, I don't even look at the stock market. Stock market's going down. That's deflationary. But if it goes down far enough, the Fed, who's not federal at all, is going to step in and lower interest rates, which means that we'll be able. So we have 30 some odd trillion in debt. We have to refinance 10 trillion of it this year.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So maybe it's a concerted effort to push those asset classes down so the Fed has to step in, give lower interest rates to boost it back up, and then we can refinance. I don't know.
Do you think Doge is going to be able to get into the Fed?
No.
I don't think so either. Like,
no,
I was talking to my buddy about this last night. Like, they're going to tell him to get fucked.
Yeah. No, the chairman of the Fed said, "No, I'm not going to step down if Trump asks me to.
No,
he's not going to replace me."
Yeah, I don't think he can.
No, because it's not federal.
No,
it's as federal as Federal Express.
Quasi-private, and it's just
no, it's private.
Yeah,
it's private.
Something fucking Fed, man. I've got some other stuff from All In, but I think it's going to take longer than we have, so I'll save that for another episode, and we can just kind of go through some tweets and stuff here. Very interesting tweet from Elon Musk. I guess it was probably a couple of days ago now. So for the past, 4 years, the liberals have been screaming, "You have to support Ukraine." And then Elon literally tweets this: "I literally challenged Putin to one-on-one physical combat over Ukraine, and my Starlink system is the backbone of the Ukrainian army. Their entire front line would collapse if I turned it off. What I am sickened by is years of slaughter and a stalemate that Ukraine will inevitably lose. Anyone who really cares, really thinks, and really understands wants the meat grinder to stop. Peace now." And their response was, he's threatening to turn off Starlink. Which is just crazy.
And he should.
He absolutely should.
So Twitter was down yesterday. I don't know if you noticed that.
I never noticed it, but I noticed other people talking about it.
And I didn't watch the interview, but in an interview, Elon said that the IP addresses were coming from Ukraine.
Yep, I saw that.
Now, Mike Baker said, "Let's not jump to conclusions." So I'm certain it was Ukraine.
Mike Baker.
So
What a
I
piece of
don't.
shit.
And then the media had a narrative today. Tesla's failing, or Tesla's stocks cut in half, which is hurting me financially. Well, not really, because I'm never going to sell it. But Tesla's stocks cut in half. Twitter can't stay up. Space rockets are exploding. How is this guy running our country? And it feels like if it isn't Ukraine, it's somebody trying to do this, because they all had their talking points again. Like there's definitely a conspiracy there against him.
Yeah. How's their sales doing right now?
They're down.
Plunged 15%, suffering steepest drop in 5 years. What do you think's going to happen to the car? Like, it's really crazy, like how fast liberals will just turn coat and fucking run on.
I don't care about the car. I care about the robots.
That's what. Yeah, that's right. You're into the underlying technology that the company is working on. That's interesting. What do you think's going to happen to the car though? Like,
I kind of want one now.
really? I have no interest in getting one of those things ever.
No,
And it's not just because of the like the charging aspect of it. It wouldn't affect me at all. I drive like 3,500 miles a year. So like that wouldn't affect me at all. I don't want a rocket ship with no suspension. If I'm going to buy a car that's that fast, I want to have suspension so I can go take it on a track or something. Like those things are dangerous.
It just wasn't intuitive to drive. I didn't love it when it was a couple years ago. I was going to a music festival in Arizona outside of Phoenix. Avis was out of cars for some reason. It was during the chip shortage and shit. I imagine that's why. So I book a car through Toro, and I land at the airport in Phoenix, and I book the car at the other fucking airport. So I have to take an Uber over to the other airport, and there was a big storm that rolled through. This festival is out at Lake Roosevelt, so should have been a half-hour drive from Phoenix out to the festival, maybe an hour. The road washed out, so I had to take this 3-hour loop around. Get about halfway there, and the stated mileage didn't account for driving through the mountains. So I did turn around a half hour, go charge for an hour, then get out to the festival. It would have been quicker if I had just driven from Vegas, but it just felt fucking weird driving. It wasn't like driving anything that I'd ever driven. I've driven a lot of cars, and I just didn't love it. My buddy has a Rivian, and he really likes it. He says it's more like driving a car.
That's interesting. Yeah, for me, like I was a motocross racer. Like I grew up on 2-strokes. We moved to 4-strokes later on, but like I like that visceral feel of an engine. I like to be able to have a tactile feel. I don't want a fly-by-wire steering wheel. I think that's freaking just kind of wild. Like I'm not impressed with the car. I've never been impressed with the car. I think it's probably dangerous to have and keep in your house. Like I would never keep one in a garage in my house, just because, my mother and my aunt have both had their houses burned down, and I want nothing to do with a fucking fire hazard in my house. I'll tell you that for sure.
I like the bulletproof car and glass on the truck, but it's so fucking ugly.
Yeah, it's
like
horrible.
I couldn't,
and it needs to be painted. There should be an option for stainless steel, but paint the fucking thing. Like it's ridiculous. You should not have to sell a freaking car with a bottle that comes with a bottle of refrigerator cleaner. It's ridiculous. Well, Dan, we do have some sad breaking news here. Go ahead. Sorry. And then I'll get to our sad breaking news.
I was talking to my buddy who's pretty far left, but he has a Tesla. This was a while ago. And I was talking about how ugly the truck is. He's like, yeah, I don't know why anybody would need it. I said, to run over climate protesters.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's nice and heavy and make a big splat. Yeah. Nice, big splat. Beautiful splats. They were trying to block the roads, and we brought in the Tesla. Elon brought in the Teslas, and he just ran them all over.
It stops 556, though.
Huh?
I don't think the doors are bulletproof, but I don't think it stops 556.
No, it ain't going to stop 556. Fuck that. No way. All right, so we do have some sad breaking news. Rosie O'Donnell has moved to Ireland.
And I'm here in Ireland, and it's beautiful and warm Not physically, it's actually quite cold. Moved here on January 15th, and it's
She's a
been
fat pig.
pretty wonderful,
Rosie
I have
O'Donnell.
to say. The people are so loving and so kind, so welcoming, and I'm very grateful. I'm in the
I got a call
process
from
of
the IRA.
getting my
They want me to take her
Irish
out.
citizenship, as I have Irish grandparents, and that's what's going on, and that's where I've been and what I've been doing. And although I was
Unbelievable. I think we got the picture. I don't want to go through another minute of that.
So I got some bad news in there. I thought that this was like a recent thing because she posted it today, but she's been there since January.
Oh, bummer.
I thought that she fled because like maybe the Epstein list is more eminent than I thought it was.
Yeah.
But no, she went in January. Dude, like what part of Ireland is she in? Because everything that I see there is a fucking hellscape right now.
Yeah.
I also have
I
a
mean,
historical
it's not
question.
even Ireland anymore. Did we play the video of that woman who was like, my daughter is the only Irish student in her class. Nobody speaks like English in there. They all speak different languages. And she gets picked on for being white in Ireland. And that's fucking crazy. Like, Ireland is a beautiful country. I've never been there, but like the pictures, the rolling green hills, and I'm like, these fucking Muslims are going to destroy that country. They'll burn it down to the ground worse than the IRA.
I have a historic question.
Mm.
So there was the potato famine, which killed a lot of people in Ireland. They're surrounded by fish. Why
Yeah.
did they starve?
There's some drunken people there, my man. Those people are gone. Imagine.
Oh, if you look at inventions by Irish people
Oh, there's almost
Up
none,
in-
right?
since the invention of whiskey. Before that, it was like rapid fire invention, invented whiskey, nothing.
Nice. I
It-
think
it's
I
like-
have seen that before.
Pretty fucking funny. But what would be amazing is if Conor McGregor actually became president of Ireland.
Ooh, that would be fun. That would be
He's
fun.
like he's floating it out there.
Manny Pacquiao did it.
Yeah, he did.
Manny Pacquiao was fun to watch. I really enjoyed watching him fight. God, that guy was fast. Watch him do the speed bag.
Boxing's so boring.
Oh, I know. I don't.
Happy with pillows.
Yeah, no, I
Nobody's
don't
ever
watch
gonna
it
fall
either.
down.
But I liked watching him do like the speed bag and like watching him train and shit like that, just because he was so fast. We had a speed bag when I was younger in Southern California. And they're hard, and like once you get good at them, they're fun to like mess around with. And you watch somebody that's really good at it, and it's like, ooh, that's fucking hard. It's
There's
a lot
a-
harder than you would think it is.
Oh yeah, I've tried and failed. There's a video of Nate Diaz where he does like half hour or an hour on this sprinting in place, doing the speed bag and talking shit. This is like peak Nate Diaz back before he went crazy. I don't think I sent it to you, but there's a picture of him like methed out, like trying to start a bush on fire on the side of a street recently.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I do have some hemorrhoid news. My my
Oh, boy.
hemorrhoid is better.
Just in.
It's
better.
It's better. So I didn't get a call again from a doctor. Last Friday comes around and still haven't gotten a call from a doctor. It's like, fuck, I got to deal with this thing one way or another. Like if this doctor's not going to help me, then I got to do something. So I went and got myself a tube of Winco hemorrhoid ointment and turned on the shower and went fucking 2 knuckles deep and got that fucker back up where it needs to be. So I was asking ChatGPT about what
How many
what
knuckles?
is it called when a prolapsed hemorrhoid sucks back up into your body, and it said there's no name for that. And I said, well, you get to name it, and it did pretty well. This was Grok, not ChatGPT. It came up with hemorrhoid yo-yo.
Do you even talk to ChatGPT anymore?
No, Grok's better. Grok's just it's more fun. It doesn't fucking flag you on shit all the time. And it just works better. Like it seems to get better answers. A lot of times I ask ChatGPT something and it can't answer it. It just straight up can't answer. And I'm like, I'll go ask Grok, and Grok is easily able to do it. And I'll take Grok's conversation and put it into ChatGPT and say, why was Grok able to do this and you're not? And it can never answer.
My wife asked ChatGPT something, and ChatGPT responded, "Well, that's a brilliant idea."
Yeah.
I'm like, screenshot that. I have to send that to Nick. See what happens when you're nice to the robots.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like
Yeah.
I am not nice, and I'm not good at I'm not good at like asking questions that are PC.
Yeah.
Like you have to be able to wrap your fun question or whatever. You have to be able to wrap it in some PC bullshit. You're way better at that than I am. Like you have to do that at work all the time and shit. So you're practiced. You're seasoned.
One of my friends is really racist, and he said this. How would you argue it?
That's good. I like that. See, I can't ever think of shit like that. I'm too fucking direct. Like, I don't know. A lot of times the funniest answer doesn't come to me. You tell some funny jokes on this podcast that just go right over my head a lot of the time.
You catch it in post.
Yeah, I do. I catch it in post. I'm like, well, I don't know how I missed that joke, but it just like I'm too serious a lot of the time, and it's like I just miss it.
Well, I'm glad the hemorrhoid yo-yo worked out.
Yep, I said, and so I used it to. I figured since, the hemorrhoid yo-yo, I could probably come up with a couple gay jokes about that. So here's one. I'm so gay, my butthole uses hemorrhoids like they're Kegels.
I did a wig crawl, like wig bar crawl a couple weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
I made some. I'll send you the picture. Don't post it in the notes or whatever. But I made some jokes about, like I said, I look like I'm half hour late to my kid's soccer game, but they don't keep score and I know it. Then another one was like a man just spoke over me and I'm waiting to finish talking.
Dude, that's like what happened in our video before. In the first video we played. It was amazing that guy just had to jump in and white knight for that fucking dude. It's like, did you see the newest Beavis and Butthead movie where they're talking about white privilege?
No.
Oh, dude, it's so funny. I'll have to send you the clip afterwards. All right. Anyways, we're gonna call it here. We started late tonight, and that's my fault. So let's get you out of here so you can.
Oh, one programming note.
Yeah.
During the summer, I go to every other week. So
No worries.
I just summer months, and I'm doing 2 businesses now. But in the fall, when it's dark this time of day, I'll be back around every week.
Perfect. Sounds good, man. We'll do this again in another week and a half or another 2 weeks, whatever.
2 weeks.
We'll see you.
Romper room, kicking on Living Street, Mac Drake, full of the Hennessy, 18, making raps till I'm 80 and too hard.